Greetings, cyberdogs and citizens of the internet. This is ReNDoG coming at you from just outside the RenStar construction site in this Let's Play Minecraft Feed the Beast series. In the previous episode, we began work on the foundations for the RenStar space platform, and in this episode, my friends, we are going to be working on a Metalworks factory so that we can provide all the materials required to build the RenStar. It is going to be freaking sweet, my cyberdogs. We have got a ton of stuff to do in this episode today, so I hope you've got a tasty beverage, some crunchy ass snacks. Let's feed the beast that is our freaking mind. Now guys, it has been a little while since the last Feed the Beast episode. It's been about a week or so now, and I have been doing a ton of work around the CYBERLABS and around Redtown in preparation for this episode. Basically, I really want to progress in the series towards making the RenStar and doing all of the work that we want to do on the RenStar, and I want to kind of start getting out of the CYBERLABS a bit. As much as I love the CYBERLABS, I think that everything that we want to achieve in the CYBERLABS is basically achieved, and it is now time to really focus on building that epic freaking space platform that you can see slowly growing up there. So in this episode today, guys, we are going to be working in this area over here, and what you can see is that I've already sort of prepared and set up a preliminary foundation for what is eventually going to become a Metalworks factory. Now, why do we need a Metalworks factory? Well, why don't we head up to the top of the RenStar platform right now, and I will explain to you guys a little bit more about what the jazz we are going to be doing in this episode. I also want you guys just to take note that I have recently updated the texture pack because there were a few textures missing for the last 53 episodes or so, and I had to manually update the texture pack because it wasn't updating in the launcher correctly. So you might notice that there are a few textures that have changed, but for the most part I'm pretty happy with the textures that have changed, and now we have a full texture pack, which is obviously freaking sweet. But here we are, guys, at the top of the RenStar foundations, and you can see that I've been doing a little bit of work over here with some cobblestone and some wood, and these are basically just placeholders over here. These are certainly not the blocks that we're going to be using to construct the RenStar. What I mentioned in the previous episode was that we're going to look into using turtles to automatically help us build the RenStar, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing for this project. However, I've been looking into how to use turtles, and one of the primary concerns that I have before we start making turtles is that we just do not have the resources to put into those turtles. So for example, if we wanted to use a turtle to fill in this space over here, which is a 40 by 40 space, that turtle obviously needs all of those blocks to fill the space. And basically what I want to do is build this RenStar out of some new materials. So when I first started working on this foundation, I thought about just using marble blocks for the majority of the build, because we used marble blocks in the CYBERLABS and they look kind of cool. You know, it's got like that sort of clinical laboratory look to it. Then I thought to myself, you know what, we're starting a grand project over here, and for a grand project we require grand resources. And instead of just using boring old marble, I think I want to start using some of the ore blocks that are available in Feed the Beast. So for example, iron blocks, zinc blocks, nickel blocks, etc, etc. Now to get a butt ton of those blocks, so for example, if we wanted to fill this space in here with iron blocks, for example, we're going to need something, like 1,600 blocks of iron just to fill this space over here. So we need a factory that is going to be able to produce for us, that's what, like a stack, something like that. It's a ridiculous amount of iron blocks, and we need a factory to be able to produce all of that stuff. So that's what we're working on today, guys. You can see down there is the Metalworks factory that I'm talking about, and I'm going to show you exactly how that is going to work in 1 second, and then we're gonna finish off crafting it today, which is going to be so sweet. But before we get to that, guys, I want to show you exactly the blocks that we're going to be using for the construction of the RenStar. You can see over here that we have these various sort of metal looking blocks, and I just absolutely love the look of these blocks. This is a block of gold ingots, this is a block of silver, this is a block of nickel, I think, this is a block of iron, this is a block of iron, and then this is a block of zinc, I think, or the white one is a block of zinc, I think. But these are the basic ore blocks that we can create in Feed the Beast, and to create these blocks, all we need to do is smelt down the dusts of the ores and then compress them in a compressor. And that is exactly what the Metalworks Factory is going to be doing. So let's pop over here to the Metalworks Factory so I can explain a little bit further about how this works. So here you guys can see I've got a couple rows of barrels set up, and this row of barrels is going to be the output of the factory. And I wanted to put it here so that it was close to the ReNDoG construction site, so that we can come and collect the blocks that we need easily without having to go into the CYBERLABS and into the storage warehouse. So what I've got here is a block of iron, a block of silver, a block of zinc, a block of nickel, and a block of gold. Now, the majority of these blocks are pretty easy to make, right? So, for example, a block of iron, as I said, all you need to do is smelt down iron dust into iron ingots and then compress those iron ingots into a block of iron. That is the same for most of these blocks over here, except for zinc. Zinc is a little bit more complicated because to get zinc, let's just bring up zinc in the search over here. To get zinc ingots, you need to smelt down zinc powder, just like you would normally for these other ores that I'm talking about. But the trick is to getting zinc dust. Now, to get zinc dust, you need to pulverize sphalerite ore, which gives you sphalerite dust, and then you need to shove sphalerite dust into an industrial electrolyzer so that you can get zinc dust. And then we can just smelt down the zinc dust and compress the ingots as usual. So to make zinc is a little bit more complicated. We need an industrial electrolyzer in the mix somewhere, and we also need to collect sphalerite ore, which is a very abundant and common ore in the nether. So I'm not too worried about getting the sphalerite ore, but I am worried about the process of producing zinc dust. We also get zinc dust as a 10% overflow from the pulverization of sphalerite, but that's obviously not really efficient. And we also get zinc, we have a 0.16% chance of getting zinc dust out of the recycling facility, but that's obviously not a very optimal thing. So in this Metalworks Factory over here, while these simple blocks are going to be quite easy to set up, these lines, these production lines are literally just going to be an electronic furnace into compressor into barrel. For zinc, it's going to be slightly different, and in the next episode we're going to be exploring the advanced side of the Metalworks Factory. There are also another few blocks that I do want to use, and I think I've been thinking about using this standard machine casing block, just because I think it looks really sweet. It has like an awesome border around it. But to make standard machine casing, you can see it's quite a process. You need electronic circuits, you need refined iron plates, so we need to automate the production of all of this if we want to make standard machine casing. I also want to use aluminium blocks because it's this really cool blue block, right? It looks a little bit like this, I think, like a silver block, but I think it's more blue. So I actually really like this aluminium block. Check it out, man. It looks awesome. But to get an aluminium block, we need to make aluminium ingots. And to get an aluminium ingot, we need to smelt down aluminium dust in an industrial blast furnace. But we can see over here in the information for the industrial blast furnace, you require a heat capacity of 1,700, and currently our industrial blast furnace has a heat capacity of, I think, 1,500. So before we can even start making aluminium blocks, we are going to need to upgrade our industrial blast furnace. So a little bit of work to be done on the more advanced blocks for this project. But in this episode, we're going to be working on the simple blocks. Now, what I've already done is a little bit of the menial work, a bit of the boring stuff. And what I've done is I've set up these barrels over here for the different dusts for these blocks that we want to make. So we've got iron dust, silver, zinc, nickel, gold, and aluminium. And to get these dusts to the Metalworks Factory, we need to get them here from the CYBERLABS, because these dusts are obviously coming out of our quarries. Our quarries are sucking up the ores and then sending them into the macerator. The macerator is doubling the yield of dust and then sending it into the storage warehouse. So what I've done is run a pneumatic pipe all the way underneath Rentown over here, and you can see it runs underneath and it doesn't really mess with any of the buildings, any of the structures. It was from strict orders from the mayor of Rentown, man. He was like, do not mess up Rentown when you lay that pipage. And that pneumatic pipe comes over here and connects to the sorting system over here. So our filter in the sorting system is going to be sending all of those dusts that we need to the Metalworks Factory. I've also run a line of here we go, of glass fiber cables underneath Rentown that connects to a power point over here in the furnace room. And I got to tell you guys, this took a stack of diamonds to create enough glass fiber cables. We had 2 stacks of diamonds from the 3 quarries that we were running, but I've now used a stack of diamonds to run a power line all the way to the Metalworks Factory. Now, because the Metalworks Factory is going to be using 5 compressors and 5 electronic furnaces, aside from an industrial blast furnace and an industrial electrolyzer, I needed to up the power supply of the CYBERLABS. We needed to generate more power to support this new machinery that we are building in that factory. So what I've done is I added 3 more Squidwards to each of the walls of the power plant. You can see that the texture of the Squidwards have changed, but I actually really love this texture of the new geothermal generator, and the texture of the walls have changed also. I'm not a huge fan of these walls, I must admit. I actually prefer the old wall texture, but I can get used to it. I think they're okay. These walls are probably a better texture for a spaceship anyway, so I'm pretty happy with this texture. But what I've done, guys, is I've added 6 more geothermal generators to the power plant. And you know, geothermal generators are really awesome because they're really cheap to make. If we look at the recipe, I mean, it's just a generator, some refined iron, some glass, and some empty cells. Really, really cheap recipe, especially now later in this Feed the Beast series where we have an abundance of all of these materials. It's kind of hard to make in the beginning of Feed the Beast, but now where we're at now, a geothermal generator is nothing. But what's also awesome about the way that we originally set up the power plant, and I didn't actually realize it when I did it, but as you guys know, when you flick the switch, a redstone engine comes on over here and it sucks lava out of this lava tank over here, which is receiving an infinite supply of lava from the nether, and then this lava is sent into these waterproof golden transport pipes over here. And because we can just stick Squidwards at the top row of this power plant, all I needed to do was connect them through another waterproof pipe just to the bottom array of golden transport pipes, of waterproof golden transport pipes. And now you can see that with a flick of the switches, we are sending lava to both the bottom row of Squidwards and the top row of Squidwards, which is just really awesome. I didn't need to do any adjustments to the power plant at all, other than adding Squidwards above all of the original Squidwards and then linking them up with some golden pipes. So really freaking happy with how that turned out, man. So we are generating basically double the amount of power that we did since the last time you guys were in the CYBERLABS. Here in the bio research facility, we have looks like we have a fresh crop of feru growing over here. I've been collecting a ridiculous amount of feru. You guys can see there's a chest over here. Here we go. These are all the feru seeds that I've collected so far. And of course, when we make our field of feru, all of these seeds are going to be planted. But I've been keeping my eyeballs peeled on this bio research facility because, man, it is hard to keep this bad boy full. And you can see that we already, the crop matron is already out of jazz. And man, guys, I'm going to show you something now which might shock you, but it just shows you how freaking long I've been working in the CYBERLABS without you guys. I've been doing a ton of work around here. Wait, that's the wrong way around. Just, you know, because like I was saying in the beginning of the episode, I just really want to get going on the ReNStar. I really want to start working on the ReNStar and stop spending so much time in the CYBERLABS. Even though I do love them, we're going to have brand new CYBERLABS very soon, and they're going to be even more epic than these CYBERLABS. Now, what I also did, guys, over the last 3 or 4 hours or so, is I added some more power to our quarries over here. I added I think another 4 engines or another 6 engines, I'm not sure, into the quarry power array, because what I wanted to do was really start churning out resources from the CYBERLABS. I wanted our quarries to run at full blast so that we could get as much ore dust as possible, because obviously we're going to need thousands and thousands and thousands of bits of ore dust to smelt them down to turn them into blocks. But what that resulted in was that this quarry, I think this is the second quarry, actually mined all the way down to bedrock. And the third quarry also mined all the way down to bedrock. So what I've had to do is set up a 4th quarry over here, and you can already see that it's made quite good headway already into the ground. And that is because it is now the only quarry that is running, because you guys will see that the 3rd quarry is also finished, which is absolutely insane. It's also gone all the way down to bedrock. Let's have a look through this wall. You can see on the map there, guys, that it's gone all the way down into bedrock, which is pretty freaking ridiculous, I gotta say, man. So we've got one quarry running now. I think what we're gonna have to do is set up another quarry, because we do need all of the iron, zinc, nickel, silver that we can get. And man, we really need to start churning out as much resources as possible. But because this quarry is running so freaking fast now, the recycling facility is also pumping at full blast. So that is really awesome. So that's one of the other adjustments that I made to the CYBERLABS. You know what I want to do, guys, is macerate a little bit of apatite, because we need a little bit more, we need some more fertilizer in the bio-research facility. So let's head into the machine room. You guys will have noticed that there are some changes up in the machine room also. I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what has been going on around here. So in order to make zinc dust, earlier in the episode, guys, I think I remember saying that to make zinc dust, we need to pulverize sphalerite ore, and then we need to put that sphalerite dust into the industrial electrolyzer. So what I did in the machine room was just set that exact configuration up. So we've got the pulverizer over here, and I was sticking the sphalerite ore in here. The pulverizer was turning that sphalerite ore into sphalerite dust and sending that sphalerite dust to the industrial electrolyzer via this pipe over here. It was going into this barrel. Then the industrial electrolyzer was making it into zinc dust and sulfur. That was getting sucked out of here, and then this diamond transport pipe was sending the zinc dust into this electronic furnace, and then the furnace was sending those zinc ingots via this pipe into this compressor over here to make the block of zinc dust, or those 2 blocks of zinc dust that I used in the in the barrels of the Metalworks factory. So this configuration from pulverizer to industrial electrolyzer to compressor, that is the basic configuration that we need to set up for zinc in the Metalworks factory. So that's what I was doing in there, and obviously that needed a little bit more power also. So all in all, I'm very happy with the increased number of Squidwards in the power plant. We're generating more power than we've ever generated before. You know, things are just looking freaking sweet around here, man. And I do need a little bit more food though, so I'm gonna come and take some taters. Come and take some taters out of the storage room. I've been working in the Metalworks factory for so long now, man. It's been insane. Actually, this is the first time I've been in the CYBERLABS in quite a long time. But let's get back to the ReNStar foundations, guys. And before we finish off the very first part of the Metalworks factory over here, I want to talk a little bit about the design of the ReNStar. And in the previous episode, I spoke a little bit about making the ReNStar to scale according to the miniature scale over here. And you know, that is just going to be an absolutely crazy thing to do, because if we were to make the ReNStar to the exact scale of the miniature over here, then this square over here would be the center of an octagon, and that would mean that literally from the borders of the square to the border of the octagon would be 40 blocks, right? So that is an absolutely ridiculous amount of blockage to expect our Metalworks factory to produce. In fact, I don't even think that would actually be possible in a lifetime to produce that many blocks of iron or zinc or nickel or whatever. So what I decided to do was slightly alter the design of the ReNStar modules. And what I decided to do was have the central module being square, and then the square being surrounded by basically a corridor. Now, I want you guys to think about the Star Trek Enterprise, right? And how they have really, really awesome corridors in the Enterprise that have these windows that look out into space, right? So if we have a look at the map there, you can see that I've got this really cool corridor running all the way around the central square module, and this is going to be like basically a space platform corridor, and these corridors are going to be what connects all the modules to each other, and they're all going to look exactly the same. They're going to have a really cool floor. Maybe they'll have some sort of light running down the center. You know, we're going to try and make it look really, really spacey, and then we're going to have these really massive windows looking out into space, and then you'll be able to enter the different modules via these entrances over here, and then inside the modules will be the business, right? So if this is the power plant module, in this space over here we will have our nuclear reactors, our power batteries, all of that sort of jazz. But if we were to go with the original idea of having an octagon around the square, there would just be a huge amount of wasted space around the central module. And not only that, I don't think we would actually have the resources to do that. So I actually prefer aesthetically this design. I think it's way more spacey, if that's the word to use. I think it's really, really sweet. And these blocks, these wooden blocks and these cobblestone blocks are just placeholders for now, and they are going to be replaced with the blocks that we're going to use to build the ReNStar. So that's the design, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below of the new design. I think it's absolutely pimps, and man, I cannot wait to get building and get crafting the very first module of the ReNStar. But before we could do that, guys, we need to get this factory up and running, and there is a skelebutt that wants to rumble with my ass. Dude, I am busy making a factory. Eat it. Oh man, that felt good taking that out on that bottle, man, seriously. But guys, why don't we make our very first production line of the Metalworks Factory? So let's free up a little bit of space in our inventory over here. And man, did I not put the fertilizer? I didn't put the fertilizer in the freaking Cropmatron, did I? Oh, my bad. All right, I'm gonna do that quickly, guys. I'll be back in a second. All right, cyber diggity dogs, the Cropmatron has been fed, and we can now start working on the very first production line of the Metalworks Factory. And the first one we're gonna do is to make blocks of iron. So we've got the power coming from the CYBERLABS connecting into these low voltage transformers, because we know from the CYBERLABS that electric furnaces and compressors both need LV transformers or they explode. So I've already got them set up over here. We've got our power points ready for this bad boy, and what we're going to do, guys, is install our electrical furnace in this position over here. So when we flick this switch right here, the dust from this barrel is going to be delivered into the top of the electrical furnace, because that's where the electrical furnace needs to receive items from. There we go. Then what we need to do is suck the ingots out of the electrical furnace as it smelts down that dust. So we'll set up a wooden transport pipe over there with a redstone engine underneath. And that is going to suck those ingots out and deliver them to a compressor, which is going to sit in this position over here. And exactly the same, we need to deliver the items to the top of the compressor like that. And then lastly, the compressor needs to deliver the blocks of iron that it's going to be squashing into the final delivery barrel. So the exact same thing needs to happen over here. We have a redstone engine sucking out the block of iron from the compressor, and then this needs to go into the top of the barrel like so. I think we went a little bit too high over there. There we go. So that is basically how one of the production lines of the Metalworks Factory works. Well, one of the standard production lines. The non-standard production lines, which will be zinc, aluminium, and standard machine casings, that's going to be another story. But for the purposes of this Metalworks Factory, I think this is a pretty simple design, and I'm quite happy with it, actually. And what I really like is that we can walk underneath the pipage like this, which is really sweet, right? So we can sort of check on the factory, make sure that everything's running smoothly. Why don't we get this bad boy fired up, man? Let's get the electrical engines, the redstone engines, redstone torch. And what we still need to do is put a few overclockers into the furnace. So overclockers, as you guys know, what they do is they make machines run faster at the cost of more power. And they are really, really awesome things, and also really cheap to make. You can see all you need is coolant cells, an electronic circuit, and some copper cabling to make overclockers. But they do take up a lot more power. So you can only use overclockers when you have, like 9 Squidwards getting infinite lava from the nether, for example, or you have like a nuclear reactor or whatever. But the reason that we need to overclock this electronic furnace is because this barrel is going to be sending a consistent stream of dust into the electric furnace. And if the electric furnace gets more than 64 dust in it, it's going to start spitting the excess dust out of it. And it's basically going to make the factory not optimal, and we're going to lose piles of dust, right, that could otherwise have been ingots. So that's why we're going to overclock these electrical furnaces. But this looks to be working quite nicely. Everything's being delivered in the correct way. The compressor is going to wait for 9 ingots, I think, before it compresses all of those ingots into an iron block. And then we should get our very first iron block out of the Metalworks Factory, which is absolutely sweet. And I mean, now we can just do the setup for all of the remaining production lines over here. So why don't we do the next one, which is going to be silver. So we get the furnace installed, we get the compressor installed, we get their delivery pipes installed into the back of each of these engines. We get the redstone engines stuck into those, and we connect them up into their delivery mechanisms, just like that. So really, really easy to make, but really, really sweet. So there we go. So now the silver factory, or the silver production line, is almost ready to go. We need to connect the whole thing to the barrel that's going to be delivering the goods. There we go. Now the compressor, you could see that it was glowing, so it is working. And there comes our very, very first block of iron. That is awesome. So the iron block production line of the Metalworks Factory is now kicking in. Let's start the silver production line of the Metalworks Factory. So that's going to start working. And now what I can do, guys, is just set up the remaining lines of the Metalworks Factory. And I'll bring you guys back on the other side of this kaplam once that is done, and we can review to make sure that our factory is working beautifully. I'll see you on the other side of this kaplam. Kaplam! Alright, cyber diggity dogs, I've brought you back, and I have installed all of the electric furnaces and compressors into the Metalworks Factory, and this puppy should be up and running nicely now, man. This is looking awesome. Check at this. I love how symmetrical it is, man. The symmetry just makes me one happy ass doggy. And what we can do now actually is fill up the holes of the floor over here to hide the shame of the power cables. So let's hide this. There we go. We don't need to see the power cables anymore. There we go. The factory is looking absolutely awesome. And now what we can do is just throw this puppy into overdrive. Let's turn this thing on, except for aluminium, obviously, because we don't have our industrial blast furnace available yet. But let's turn all of the others on. So our factory should now be up and running, receiving dust from the CYBERLABS, smelting the dust into ingots in this row, compressing those ingots into blocks, and delivering those blocks to these barrels over here, which are eventually going to be the fuel for our turtles, our freaking ReNStar turtle army that is going to build for us this freaking giant space platform, man. This is so awesome. Let's just check one more time. There we can see all of the ingots are coming. All of the dusts are going out really nicely. Awesome. And everything is going really, really smoothly. This is amazing. The only thing we need to do now, guys, I think, is probably set up another quarry. I don't think we're going to be able to generate enough dust to keep this factory full at all times, right? We're probably, like, for example, for silver and zinc, we're probably going to have to let these barrels recharge. And we can't just leave them going forever, right? Because if the barrel runs out, then the sorting system will just send a random item to the barrel, and then that'll obviously break the factory. So I think I'll probably have to turn these ones off, the ones that have low supply, and then set up a second, and maybe even two more quarries, actually, so that we can get enough ore dusts to keep this Metalworks Factory running 24 freaking hours a day. Well, this is freaking sweet, people. We've already got, wow, we already got 7 blocks of iron, 5 blocks of silver, and still waiting on our first blocks of zinc and whatnot. But hang on, what's going on here? Zinc, oh, just spotted something. See, this is why you got to run preliminary tests, man. We do not have our redstone torches in place for these. Oh no, I have not set this up properly. Well, thank God you guys are here, man. Without you guys, I would have just gone back to the bio-research facility to do a bit more freaking horticulture. And I would have just left the factory to run. But now we can see, all right, there we go. Ingots are being sucked out of the electric furnaces. They've all been overclocked, which is awesome. And it looks like our factory is now pumping away. The compressors are waiting to get enough fuel to start the compression process, to start the squishing down of ingots. And let's just wait for these compressors to kick in, man. Check it there, man. Oh, the new textures are actually really awesome. The new textures for the machines. A lot of the machines from the previous texture pack I have didn't really have awesome textures. But check it out, man. That is so awesome. There we go. The compressor is doing its business right now. Compressing away like nobody's business. Oh, that is awesome. All right, guys. Well, I have achieved what I wanted to in today's episode. The Metalworks Factory step 1 is complete. We have set up production lines for the simple or for the standard blocks of metalworks that we require. In the next episode, we're going to set up the advanced lines. So lines to make aluminium and a line to make standard machine casing. And then we can start working with turtles and start actually filling in all of those open spaces up up there in the ReNStar space platform. Guys, I really hope you have enjoyed this episode. Been a little bit of a technical one, but these are the episodes I love the most. But I really hope you have enjoyed it, guys. And before the zombie kills my ass, if you like the episode, hit the freaking like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. This has been ReNDoG playing Minecraft Feed the Beast. We'll see you in the next episode, my friends. Goodbye.